How's it going? I wanted to make a little video about Jeff, and particularly number one right off the bat, I wanted to thank everybody that helped out with taking care of Jeff when he was going through his thing, and the people, especially Jim, Bob, Jaden, Kenneth, Andy, Andrea. Not sure how you prefer to be addressed, but thank you very, very much for looking after Jeff, taking your time, and pouring a lot of frankly, your emotions and all that stuff into what was going on. I sincerely appreciate that. I'm Jeff's nephew. My name's Jesse. Some of us may have only ever talked on the phone, and I never even got a chance to meet you. But I really appreciate it, and I think that the service and the burial and all that stuff was really, really good, and provided a lot. I mean, at least I'm just speaking for myself. It provided a lot to me in terms of all that. But I also am just very, very grateful that that I got the chance to meet all you people, because I think you were Jeff's family, and I really do. I think that's the way it goes in the world today. Is that given the dislocation that a lot of people experience, myself included, it's tough for family to be near family. And so the people who really are your family and who know you a lot better than they probably even recognize are your neighbors and your kind of town acquaintances and all the people that know you for your virtues and your faults alike and all that stuff. And I really, really, like, from the bottom of my heart, just want to say thank you for taking your time and just for knowing Jeff and his goofy personality and all that kind of stuff. Jeff and I started talking to him again, and it wasn't like there's any gap there really, but I started talking to him quite often about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, after going through a lot of stuff, dealing with some crime issues and personal stuff that I didn't cause. I kind of got dislocated. I feel that I lost my house and a lot of kind of productivity over that span of time. Again, with some just stuff that was just not worth mentioning, but it's just kind of like stuff that wasn't your fault. And I think we're all alike, myself and the people back there in Salmon, that we're hardy people. We don't like to put up with that kind of stuff. We don't like to be diverted in any manner from our productivity. And myself, most of all, I'm very bothered by all that. But Jeff was really there for me at a time when I needed a mentor, and that's not something you get. That's not common, to find mentors out in the world. You put up your hand and say you're looking for a mentor, at least in my generation, and almost nothing reaches back, and that's very unfortunate. And I always found that guys like Jeff were very much the counterpoint to that kind of problem, right? Like, he was a very good example in on a timeline or in a world or a country where there's not a lot of good examples anymore. And that guy really stood on his own. We had a lot of, he was very funny to talk to, aside from all the serious stuff, but he genuinely was a very good and serious mentor in terms of just having someone to talk to and relate with over, the guy knew so much. He knew more than people even knew that he was aware of. I sent him a book called The Crossing by Cormac McCarthy about 2 years ago. And it's kind of a shot in the dark if you give someone a book. You never know whether or not they're going to like it. It's kind of presumptuous, and I'm always aware of that when I do that. But I always found that book really, really good, and I thought it related to Jeff because it involves like a wolf that gets killed and all this stuff. It's very Western, and it's a very personal book that I enjoy of my own because I really relate to the kid in the book and the kind of the itinerant kind of dislocated travel and some of the commentaries in it about just stuff. I won't go into detail, but I sent Jeff a copy of that book to see what he would think of it, and he read it cover to cover in like a week. I was amazed. I was like, I was all hesitant. I didn't know if he'd like it. I was kind of self-conscious, like, nah, is this the right thing to send to somebody? He read it cover to cover, and he was like quoting it, and kind of like elucidating all these obscure, because it's a very difficult book. It's not a well-known book, and it has some very complex kind of philosophical ideas in it that it tells through the story of this kid just wandering through the Southwest and Mexico and stuff. But it's very good. I got my eye out up here because That's the summit of Chief Joseph Mountain. I'm sitting right off of it, and I'm not up there because there's a herd of about 19 goats up there, and they are somewhat aggressive, and you don't want to be up there. So I came down here. I descended a bit to my little lunch perch here, which is very rugged, not particularly safe, but all the better. So yeah, let's get a shot up here. I gotta be out of the wind. You can see where I'm standing. Might as well give a bearing. There's a lake. There's Lake Wallowa down there, and there's the ridge line that you come up to hike up here, and some of the back country. But sorry, tangent. But yeah, I mean, Jeff, he knew so much. The guy knew like Kipling and all these others. Rudyard Kipling is a great author if you're into reading at all, and if you're looking for fuel in a world that is not particularly beneficial or favorable towards men anymore. And that's, sorry, it's just the way it is. There's a lot of stuff out there you may not know about, you know, like Marcus Aurelius and Kipling and Cormac McCarthy and all these people like that. And Jeff was always telling me about Lewis and Clark and their journals. And this is where it just gets into some of the Green Beret stuff. Is you know, Jeff was a Green Beret. He served a large span of time in multiple just interesting regions of the world and so on. And the thing about that is I think he was a lot tougher than a lot of us knew, and we saw that right at the end, you know. Not that you would have your doubts or anything like that, but you could see that right at the end, like right up until the last parts there, just the endurance and the ability to just keep going no matter what. And the reason I wanted to bring that up was just that I got in touch with him about 3 years ago. So I nail my back on some rocks here. But I got in touch with him about 3 years ago because I had a friend who was showing signs of, you know what, I'm not going to use the word because I think you get censored if you say it, but there's it starts with an S and it ends with an IDE, but it's like, I had a friend who I got in touch with, and all of a sudden I realized that like this friend who no one had been in touch with was kind of at risk, you know, and I was talking to Jeff about that, and he told me, and it was so significant that I actually wrote it down, that we all hold each other up, and I really think that that's true. I mean, that's a direct quote from him. We all hold each other up, and we endure to the end. And the endure to the end thing comes from, I think it's Matthew 24:13. I'm not gonna like start quoting, you know, or doing that thing, but it is, you know, it is a passage that directly applies to that, which is that we endure to the end. And more to Jeff's point, you know, we all hold each other up. And I saw a lot of that when I was in Salmon. I just want to mention that. Like, the people there are very strong, and I'm proud that he got to be around people like that and live in that environment, because I think you guys all deserve each other. I really do. But as far as, you know, we all hold each other up, it's like I got in touch with that friend of mine, and then talking with Jeff about that and just how important it is to reach out, and this isn't any sort of posturing at all, just to reach out and check in on people and build others up. You know, that's not something that any of us have been told to do. That's not something that's like some sort of message in our culture or anything else, but it's very, very important and necessary. And no matter where you are in life, you'll learn stuff and you'll benefit from that yourself. Got to do my goat check, make sure they're not coming down on me right now. But I mean, no matter where you are in life, that is a very important principle, and you can learn a lot from it. That period in which that I was, you know, that I went through when I was talking to Jeff about stuff like that was a very difficult period. And the only thing I knew was that you just have to keep moving forward, and at every forward step, like you kind of put all your personal stuff aside and just keep going forward and advancing. And you kind of commit yourself to the world, you know, allowing the world to just be the world for a while. And it's kind of like this quote from Marcus Aurelius about there's a spring, right? There's a spring, which is, the spring is the world, and there's some person who's like, trying to cast bad things into the spring, like kick mud into the spring. But the spring just naturally, and this isn't a long, deep conversation or anything like that, the spring will just naturally clear out any mud or any debris that may fall within it. It just will naturally clear itself out over time. And that really is the nature of the world. The world doesn't want to be counterproductive. I mentioned that a lot of the stuff that interfered with my life had to do with crime. And that's not innate to the world, like crime and stuff like that. The positive aspects and the tendency towards productivity, those are intrinsic aspects of the world and of the people around you if you choose the right people. So if you're in a situation like that, that's what you got to do, is you got to choose people, and choose people like Jeff, namely, and just keep advancing. But I just wanted to put that into context, what was going on there when I was talking to him, because I did find it very, very useful just to have a counterpart out in the world. Jeff and I didn't live close to each other. We didn't, we have kind of a similar background in a lot of regards. I mean, I'm sitting up here on a mountain right now, and it's no problem for me, and he was kind of the same way. Just a goofball, but it's, having someone to interact with like that obviously was very important, but just having these examples of endurance out in the world, you need to have that, and you need to, regardless of where you're at and regardless of how you find it, you must find that. You must find it, of course, in the Bible and things like that, like Matthew 24 about endurance, and you must find it in books, and you must find it also in other people. And if you go out searching for it in people, you'll be surprised where you find it. It's not, it doesn't have to be where you think. It doesn't have to be, Jeff himself, he was a tough son of a you-know-what. Like, he was a tough guy. Did he look tough? No. No one would know that he had the background that he had and the kind of service that he did, like supposedly the kind of groups and everything. But if you reach out in the world looking for that kind of shared endurance, it will find you naturally. Like, you will find those people, and then just like the thing itself, you'll find that, and it will find you out in the world. If and when you need it. And I really learned a lot from that. And it's kind of a side tangent. I am starting to get a little bit cold because it's getting there's a cold front moving in, getting kind of shaky. But yeah, I'm very, very proud to have known the man, and particularly just within the last 2-3 years or whatever, and sharing like books and stuff like that, and just experience. And we love to talk about trade stuff, and just random things, and like knowledge that we had about all kinds of technical things and stuff like that. So it was very good. But I do want to I don't know, well, I'll get to that. But I just I think that he demonstrated to the last, the Green Berets creed. And it goes to this thing like checking in on my friend and finding out that they were not doing so good, and all it took was a conversation to get that person straight, to slap their slap their head, not just figuratively speaking, just kind of get them into a right place and get their mind right again. That's all it took, was like one conversation, couple conversations, and they were back to normal again. This is a tangent, but that is more or less just a common thing out in the world now, because it's like you don't talk to people for a while, and they're just subject to all the algorithms and garbage that's out there. Let me get out of the sun. Ugh. All the garbage that's out there, such that it's like some passage of time goes by or elapses, and you haven't talked to them. You get back in touch with them, and they're all messed up again. But that's all it takes, though. It's just checking in on each other, and looking in on people, and of course just being interested in the world. But kind of rambling now, I apologize. But that whole Green Beret thing, iron sharpens iron. Absolutely, the guy lived up to it. I am just so grateful that I had someone like Jeff in my life, and again, I am extraordinarily grateful for all the people that I got to meet and the people that were in Jeff's life. And I want to emphasize again, I think you guys knew him best. And I do think that that's kind of the way it goes. Like your neighbors, your the people you go to church with, all this stuff. Like those people know you better than you think, and they're closer to you than you think. As shy as those relationships may be, you know, kind of like work relationships or whatever, those people see you in action and they kind of know your character and all that stuff. So it's very good. And I'm just very thankful, and I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So I want to give those people a pat on the back, like Jim Bob, Brian Keller's family, Kenneth, Andy or Andrea. I'm not sure how you prefer to be called. All that. Thank you for taking care of Token and everything. I know I know what happened. I know just the way things turned out, but I'm glad that he was taken care of there for a while. And so yeah, I'm extraordinarily grateful for having people like Jeff in my life, and I'm also extraordinarily grateful for all the people with Salmon who look out for each other and form what apparently is a very strong community. And I'd very much like to be a part of it if I could, but I don't live anywhere nearby, so sorry about that. But I saw that place, and I am not kidding. I saw a lot of just not just strong people, you know, and all that kind of language, but just people that that pull in the same direction, right? That people that pursue their own productivity and the strength in others, right? That's not a common thing out in the world right now. It's really not. Like, go to any city and you know how it is. And so it was great to see that, particularly for me personally. I'm just very, I don't know, I'm just kind of in awe. And also Mitch, it was great to meet Mitch. It's some cool stories there. But yeah, man, iron sharpens iron, and we endure to the end. And that's the way it goes. We all hold each other up, and that's the only way this works. That's a direct quote from Jeff Waite, if anybody cares to know it. But that's about it. I gotta head down. I'm actually gonna head back up and see if I can get some cool pictures of these goats, because my cell phone battery is about to die, and I'm draining it as we speak by recording video and stuff. But yeah, thank you very much. Keep on keeping on, and stay strong, people. Yeah, thank you.